Hey, welcome to the Erie Music History Podcast. I'm Chip Shell, your host. And today we have Paul Eisert, direct from Plum, Pennsylvania. Is that right? Right outside
That's
of
it.
Pittsburgh? All
Yeah.
right. All right. And we're going to hear a little bit about you and Joan because you played together for a long time, but we're going to dig into your background first. Does that sound
Sure.
good?
Sounds
Cool.
good.
Well, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I had all this stuff set for when you and Joan were going to be on. I was going to say you've been married 36 years. That's awesome. And I was going to ask her about when she met you. Were you playing together and everything? I mean, did she know your musical background already when you guys met? What, 30? Or you've been married 36 years, right?
Yeah. Somewhat. We met through music. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Were you in a band together?
No. She worked at Smugglers.
Oh,
She was the bartender and a waitress, and I used to sit in with Frederick Martin Band and Jabberwocky and Garage Band. Those guys,
yeah.
Marty O'Connor and Joe Scatella and all those. And I was sitting in with them, doing some doors, and she was dancing with her friend, and I was checking her out, and she was checking me out. And and
Cool.
there, when we get a little farther in, I start to talk about Fire and Ice.
Yeah.
We wound up said, "Hey, you can sing. Hey, you can." So we put ourselves together and called ourselves. We didn't have a name, and we got a gig, so we called ourselves Ice for Eisert, and Fire because she's hot-blooded Italian.
Okay. All right.
So we're Fire and Ice.
All right. Well, we'll get to that. Yeah, let's turn back the clock back to the 60s. You're living in the manor, right? You're growing up there. Is that right?
Yep.
And I love the names of the bands from the 60s, especially when it's like 12-year-old kids that put these bands together. Is Penny Dreadful your first band?
Yes.
That is the coolest name. I mean, who
Yeah.
came up with that?
Um, the organ player Tom Martin and his brother George, aka
Yeah.
Deke, their older brother came up with it. It's like a sleazy novel kind of newspaper from England.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's what, and they said Penny, and people would say, "Oh, and now the Penny Dreadfuls." We say, "No, no S. You don't want that S in there. It's just Penny Dreadful, no the. That's
Right.
important."
And so I saw that really cool picture, which, by the way, we will post on the episode notes of you guys. And it looks like you're in a neighborhood or you're in from someone's driveway or something, that picture of all of you.
We're actually right down the street from Tom and Deke's house, his parents' house, at the Cavallero Motel.
Oh,
Now, I don't know if anybody's going to remember that. It's out East Lake Road. It was
okay.
called something else too, but I remember it as the Cavallero Motel.
So it's on East Lake. So it's on the other side of town.
Yeah, East Lake
Okay.
Road.
All right. And so we should say that in addition to Tom and George, Lenny Sawicki,
Yep.
Tom Herman, um, how did the band come together? Like, and where was George the drummer?
Yeah, George was the drummer.
Where
Everybody
did he?
talks about his drum.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That oval drum, like he stood up and played that, right?
Yeah, well, it was made and shaped. That brand was made for double bass,
Okay.
but he stood up and played. I'm not sure why. I don't know if we ever discussed why, but it was different. And
Yeah.
and Tom Herman, some of those folks out there who are going to know Tom. He played with Tripod Jimmy
Oh, okay.
in Erie. Wasn't really familiar at the time. I was doing other musical things, and he also played with Perry Ubu. It
Okay.
was very avant-garde kind of stuff. Tom,
Right.
he took off from Erie, PA, and just he made a name for himself. So, but that was the
Any of
rest
the,
of us.
how about the other guys? Are they still
Well,
around playing?
He and I went on into two more bands. We kind of just stuck together into two more local bands. Didn't last for a long time. And he also was the organist at the ice arena for the hockey games.
Oh, okay. So this is Tom Herman?
Tom Martin.
Oh, Tom Martin.
Tom
Okay.
Martin, yeah. And
All
and
right.
Tom now lives in Florida, and I think he's still playing.
Okay. Cool.
Martin.
Now, what was the composition? Were you playing guitar and lead singer, or were you just singing?
Just singing. My guitar didn't come on for quite a while.
Oh, all
It
right.
was quite a while before, like mid Lincoln, before I was playing guitars.
And how old were you in Penny Dreadful?
We were I was Tom and I were seniors. The two Toms and I were seniors in high school, and I think George and Lenny were juniors or sophomores. It
Where
was
at?
1967. We all went to prep.
Y'all went to prep. Okay. All right. I've had a lot of guys on the podcast so far who have went to prep and went on to form a lot of bands. So, okay. And what type of music?
Um, all covers. Rolling Stones, Monkees, Beatles, little one-hit things like "Come On Down to My Boat, Baby" and "Vehicle," and trying to think of some other songs we did. Just covering the songs of the time.
Right. And you just came in as a singer. Now, how did that happen? Did you know
Um,
these guys and say, "Hey, I can
some
sing"?
some of it, my memory isn't. I made myself notes and everything, and I thought back. I think Tom knew that I could sing. I was in the chorus at prep, and I think probably Tom Martin invited me in. Um, and we just practiced at Lenny's parents' house, and we just started putting things together. And one of the things that I always tell is our first gig was a Friday night at a house party. We didn't get
Okay.
paid for it, somebody's girlfriend or something. And the next day we had another gig. My first gigs in a rock band were a weekend, 2 nights, two
Oh,
days.
yeah.
The next day it was a Hammermill Christmas party, and we played in the Gannon auditorium.
Holy cow.
So my second gig, and I was hooked. That was it. That was it. I mean, we weren't that good, but the sound in that room was,
Yeah.
and I think we got paid for that one. So
That's a giant gig for your second
yeah,
gig.
yeah. Well, I was hooked. That was
And
enough for
and
me.
and you didn't come into that band. I mean, you guys all formed the band together, I take it, right? So that was the
Um,
band's second gig?
yeah, yeah. That was our second gig. And
Wow.
those were some down the road here. Some of the members came and went, but that band, that's the only people that were ever in that band. Of course, we
Okay.
didn't last that long either.
That's what I was going to say. How long did it last? Where else did you play?
Well, we played Wyco,
Hmm.
like high school dances, Fairfield Fire Hall,
Hmm.
which a lot of people don't know about, but it had sort of a sordid history.
Oh,
Um, and we wound up playing a Battle of the Bands on the roof of Kaufman's down here in Pittsburgh.
really?
Somehow we did an audition and we got into that. And here all these years later, now I'm down here. But yeah, that was probably our big one. Battle of the Bands
Yeah.
on the roof of the Kaufman's building.
How'd you do?
We didn't win.
No.
No.
Okay. I mean, you still got to be part of it.
Oh yeah, that's it's in my history. I mean, that was pretty cool. That was very cool.
Yeah. So that band lasts how long?
I kind of did try to do some numbers. We started that in '67, and between '67 and probably the fall of '69, it was Penny Dreadful, and then Us Incorporated and Argo Who. Those three bands just kind of, those what Tom and I kind of went through.
Okay.
So 2.5 years maybe for the three bands.
And they
But
were all playing the same stuff. You just intertwined or interplaced, replaced a few different guys.
right, right. I did get to play with. I don't know if you're familiar with Mike Welligis.
No.
A lot of people. His dad was Ed Welligis from the Erie newspaper.
Yeah.
Phenomenal, phenomenal guitar player. And maybe somebody that's listening to this might. But Tom Martin took me along through those two bands also.
Okay.
And it was a lot of fun, playing school dances and all
Sure.
that stuff. But
And that leads you to Lincoln. Is that how it gets you?
1969, and I know you had I forget who was Scott Campbell was talking about Mark Twiss.
Yeah.
I I'm making a leap and a guess that Mark was the one who got me into Lincoln because we both lived in the manor,
Okay.
and I think we might have just known each other peripherally because I can't remember how actually I got into the band because they didn't have a singer. But at the start, that was Lee Taylor and a drummer named Pete Postus, a guy
Okay.
named Larry Kemmler, and Mark Twiss. And
Oh,
I joined them. And one of the pictures I sent you with the real short hair,
yeah.
because I was going to Gannon, and first 2 years of Gannon at that time you had to take ROTC, so my hair was like, but that was
Well,
the first formation of them. Um,
and
we
they had been playing already?
they were still getting together.
Okay.
I don't think they really had somebody who could carry. Lee could sing a little bit. Larry sang just a little. Mark sang. I think I recall Mark singing,
Okay.
but not a lot. So they needed a singer, and um, that's the only thing I can think is maybe Mark got me into that because I don't remember for sure. But
Well, I tried to compile a list of all the members that I saw from that Facebook group that you and I are part of, and I'm missing even some of those guys that you just mentioned there. It seemed like over the years you went through a few guys.
right, right. Well, as most bands do. The first
Sure.
guys, Pete and Larry, um, they kind of just got bumped out of the band a little bit, but uh, we brought in Bill Shealy,
Right.
was our second drummer, and he was the drummer almost the whole time up until
Okay.
toward the end. His knees gave out, and a guy named Eddie Klashevsky, who went on to play with some other folks, and he played bass.
Okay.
And after that, um, after Eddie Klashevsky, Bill Hinkle joined as a bass player. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. A lot of people call him Joe Hinkle, but
Yeah.
his name's Bill. He was connected with Raven Sound, and he played with those guys. And
Okay.
um, and Ed Matthews um, came in on organ.
Right.
We never called them keyboard players because back then you didn't have all the stuff. All you had was I think he had a Hammond M3,
Oh, okay.
and
Is
then
that
after,
bigger than a B3 or is that smaller than a B3?
um, hard to tell. Carrying it
Yeah.
upstairs at Eagle Ridge, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. It was heavy.
I
Yeah.
bet.
And then Richie Kowalczyk replaced Bill Hinkle, and we stole him from a group called Sound Incorporated that
Oh.
Joey DeLuca and some other people were in, and we sort of stole him because we went and saw those guys play, and we went, we want that guy. Richie's easily the best bass player I ever played with. I mean, he
Yeah.
just solid. He played with um, Roger Montgomery. He played with the blues player, the blues
Jake?
left-handed.
Jake's Blues?
Yes, yeah, he
Okay.
played with Jay.
Right.
It was as a trio.
Yeah.
And that's a bass player when you're just
Sure.
awesome.
Yeah.
And then uh, when Bill was ready to be done, for a while we had Bill Kirby as our drummer,
Hmm.
and another name you might not be familiar with, a jazz drummer,
Okay.
quite the jazz drummer, and turned our rock songs into a little bit different direction in some of them, but it
Hmm.
was fun. It's fun.
And
And
what were those songs? I mean, what type of stuff did you come right out of the gate playing? Because there's a lot of people that love this band and remember it for many years.
I got your note from about Jim Merritt. And
Yeah.
he and his family. I mean, I think one of his brothers passed a few years back, but there was a couple
Yep.
of brothers and a sister, and they
Yep.
would all come to Antlers, and they would just scream. And it made you feel like a real rock star. They're good people,
Sure.
good,
Yes, they
very
are.
good people. But we were playing from the start. We didn't want to play just what everybody else was playing. So we were doing James Gang, and once we got the keyboard in, we were doing Uriah Heep.
Mm.
Just a real mishmash of stuff because of course, we did Rolling Stones and we did Led Zeppelin and all that stuff too. But we tried to, and a lot of that was Lee Taylor's influence. We tried to do a little bit different stuff. At one point, we finally said, we're just going to do this whether people danced. And we could have been committing suicide, musical
Right.
suicide, but we said, we're going to do this music whether people dance or not. So we were doing Moody Blues and Jethro Tull and just,
Yeah, I don't see people dancing to Uriah Heep,
but they did.
but they
We,
did. Okay.
enough of
They
this
find,
going on, you
sure,
know.
I gotcha. Yeah, yeah,
But and we pulled it off. I mean, we were, you know, it's none of this really. I mean, you know, I know we were middle-sized fish in a small pond, but you know, you could tell when you're popular. And
sure.
we'd play at Eagle Ridge, and you know, you felt like a rock star anyway up there. I
Where
know you.
was Eagle Ridge?
It was up in New York State.
Okay,
Um,
like
you'd have to
like
go
just
like Westfield and then south.
okay. All right.
And skiing, kind of the skiing area.
Okay.
New
All right.
York. Not, you know, not that far away, but it was like really like one of the places to play because the stage was up. I mean,
Oh, okay.
which was great. It made you feel really something because the kids are all down there and we're up here playing. And but hauling that stuff up and down the stairs, and of course there was a bend in the stairs, you know, which was and that Hammond and then the Leslie speaker.
Right.
But that was a lot of fun. Eagle Ridge, and then it was called Peacock Lounge. It was the same place. The name changed. They brought the stage downstairs, which was okay. Um, but we played at Yogi's a lot out on
No,
out on Peninsula Drive there,
right. Yep.
and a lot of the clubs again with the stairs. All those clubs you seem to have to play upstairs. Frat parties. Later on, in the second third of probably 74 to 76. We played Antlers a lot.
Right.
Earthworks, we played Earthworks, which
Yeah.
people just smile. You say Earthworks and they just go, yeah, Norm, yeah, yeah. And we played the 1914 tie. Now I'm going to hit you with that one and you're going to
I
go,
got nothing. Go ahead.
it was this hole in the wall on Peach just below 26th by where Grasshopper, the head shop was and all that.
Right. Mhm.
And Jimmy something. I can't remember the guy's last name, but it was called 1914 Tie. I think because it was near the railroad tracks, a little
Sure.
bit farther down. But it was
Right.
it was like a place to play, like the Go-Go or something. You know, you just felt like. I mean, it was real small and smoky, and everybody was. But man, oh man, did you feel like people were really listening?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was 1914 tie. So anybody that's listening, I'm
All
going to be
right.
curious to see if anybody nails that one. We played the festivals. We played We Love Erie Days. I think back then it was Erie Summer Festival of the Arts.
Okay. Right. What
There
was
was two,
you did at the West Erie Plaza? That I see those pictures.
yeah, that was the almost the earliest formation of the band, and I have no idea. Maybe we went through Jet Radio, Johnny Holiday. His name's Bob Bach, I think. Might have
Right.
gone through that to get this gig, and we set up in the parking lot of the West Erie Plaza with a little stage and just played. It was fun. That was fun.
With the Big Sur vocal masters, right?
Oh, our vocal smasher. That's what we always called it. And we had that. We had that for most of Lincoln's existence. I mean, you know, it was the going PA at the time, short of getting the big VOTs and all that. But
Yeah. As the singer, I take it you had to help carry the organ and everything.
oh,
Or did you
you're a
guys?
band. Oh no, I've
Right.
seen the memes. I've seen the memes where they say like, "Oh, the singer, you know, carries a tambourine." You know, it's a
Right.
team effort. Always a
Did,
team effort.
did you guys have a team? You know, a sound man, light man, that type of thing, roadies?
Oh no, 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 no. We were just a band. We ran the sound from stage, and I don't know if we ever had anybody run sound. I don't think we did. We had a couple roadies. We paid them in beer.
Sure.
That was and sometimes that wasn't a good idea come the end of the night. But
Somebody has to lug that Leslie out of there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But one of we're talking about the places we played. I kind of made a list of them, and there was a festival at Frontier Park that people still talk about. It was for flood victims. I'm not sure where, and it was it had to be in the 70s, mid 70s, I think.
Right. I've seen the pictures.
Yeah, and they had, and of course everybody talks about who got busted and all this and that, and all the bands that played, and we weren't scheduled to play, but we were coming back, I think, from Eagle Ridge, taking the stuff back. The next, we went home and I said, all right, next day we taking the stuff back to Lee Taylor's parents. That's where we practiced, and we drove by Frontier Park. We go, oh, what's going on? So we pulled over, got out of the Volkswagen van, and walked up. Said, what's going on? What's going on? And I don't know if it was Ron Sedgy or who, somebody said, "Oh, you guys, hey, you guys want to play?" And they had a system and everything. I said, "Yeah, we'll play." So we were sort of unofficially announced as a surprise band for that Frontier concert.
Nice.
I was pretty proud of that, even though
Yeah, that's great.
surprise has quotation marks around it. But yeah,
Right.
we're,
They
we're
just happened to have an opening that you guys could slip into.
they squeezed us in. They
Yeah.
just but there was all kinds. I think Phil Kagi played that day.
Oh, wow.
Kelly Seller was there.
Hmm.
I don't think CJ Bry was there, but there was just a lot of the bigger the local bands. But
Right, right. Hmm.
um,
So that was early on for you guys, or
that was let's see who played. No, that was probably um, mid band, probably the
okay.
72 or something, maybe 73.
And what was the span? Was it 69 to 70 what?
69 to 76.
Oh, wow. That's a long time. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, yeah. And I can't. I got back. We were up to Bill Kirby. I have to make sure that the last formation
Yes.
was it was always Lee and I. And
Okay.
God bless Lee, miss him all the
Right.
time. He taught me bar chords, sold me my first electric guitar.
Oh,
Lo-
yeah.
Lovely, just still love him, always will.
Yeah, because
Um,
you said you weren't playing guitar before this band, right?
right, right.
Oh,
Probably midway. Once Ed Matthews left the band, I started playing rhythm. And
okay. So you
but
didn't replace Ed as organ player?
no, no,
Okay.
I was playing some guitar, and I picked it up pretty fast, I guess. So I was the rhythm, and Lee was of course, lead guitarist.
Sure.
And the last formation, we picked up a guy named George Pushkar,
Yeah.
who a lot of people will know. He was in a lot of bands,
Yep.
and he was a great lead player. So at that time, we were doing some Eagles and J.J. Cale, and so Lee was playing some lap steel, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, cool.
Added to the mix. And John Richardson was our drummer then,
Okay.
and then it was Lee and Richie and I.
And so many people talk about Lee at that time period. I mean, tell me, how influential was he and how good was he? Because I've heard his name so many times.
Influential to me,
Yeah.
I can't even put a limit on how influential he was to me because
Right.
uh, he was my friend. He took me under his wing in a lot of ways. He taught me a lot about playing guitar, and we went through through those 7 years. The names that remained the same were me and Lee. I'm
And you
sorry,
guys,
Lee and I should say.
that's right. And you were practicing at his parents' house?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
And that was I think that never stopped. His folks were great. His
Yeah.
folks were just great. And you mentioned too that somebody is good friends with Judy,
Yes. Yep. I know Judy. Yeah.
Lee's sister. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
pretty much ruined her and Jack had a Volkswagen bus,
Yeah.
and they let us use it for gigs. We pretty much ruined that van.
Ruined that.
Yeah. Not through misuse, just, hauling equipment and a little four-cylinder engine, trying to haul all our stuff.
Well,
But
what
they
kind
never
of,
said, oh, sorry, go
they
ahead.
never, no, I was just going to say, what kind of gig schedule are we talking? How many times are you playing in a week?
Well, of course that varied, but there were times that we were playing eh, 2 to 3 weekends out of the month.
Okay. All right.
Probably, pretty good. We played a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I've talked to some folks who said like in the 60s or, early 70s, you were booked at a place for 2 or 3 days. It was an engagement.
Right.
It wasn't a lot of one-offs. But
Yeah.
for you guys,
Yeah.
it sounds like you were going everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, we didn't get many. I mean, that was good for some, like a little more of the loungy type places. You could really
Right.
get in, and that lounge in in the Liberty Plaza. I don't remember the name. There, you could play like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That was always
Yeah.
nice.
Right. Right. That's what I
That
was
was always
wondering.
nice.
Yeah.
But
So you guys at some point you meet up with Skip Niebauer and you record, right?
yes, I was going to put that in my notes today and
Yeah.
forgot. But yeah, we recorded, and somewhere out there, there is. Now I'm guessing at this guy's name. His nickname is, they call him CJ, I think.
Okay.
Um, I can picture him, but friends of mine from that era, from the band, friends, got me. I have copies, MP3s of the. It came out. We had cassettes.
Oh, okay.
It came out of Skips after he had mastered it and everything, and we had it on cassette. And yeah, we did a bunch of tunes, Rolling Stones and Beatles, and that was my second experience recording.
Oh,
Actually, my first one was with the first band. I guess I forgot that we recorded
oh.
an album, but I don't remember where.
Wait, the Penny Dreadful recorded an album?
Yes, we had. Well,
Wow.
it was a EP because there were 4 songs on it,
Okay. Yeah.
and I have those somewhere too. My friend Tom Martin sent me MP3s of them, but
Was that a
they're-
thing where like you actually had records pressed?
yeah, they were. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And he's
Wow.
probably got one. Tom's probably got one.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah. Now, were all of these recordings all covers or were you doing any originals in either
No,
case?
we never. I was never involved with playing originals until after Lincoln. There was a band called the Darktown Poker Club from
Hmm.
New York State, and Colt Station, which I know you're familiar with. Colt
Yeah.
Station.
Right.
Um, Lee got me in there with Lee and Tom Smith, and Tom wrote a lot of great originals. So that was my first experience with playing, none of mine, but playing somebody else's originals.
Right. Right. So is that the next step? So what happens to Lincoln? How does it disband?
Well, it just kind of reached the point. I'm not sure. I think everybody was a little tired of playing, I guess.
Yeah. That's a long
Our
time.
last gig was New Year's Eve at the Holiday Inn,
Oh,
which I,
downtown?
which I guess was a pretty good way to go out.
Go out. Yeah.
And George was pretty busy. He was like a supervisor for PennDOT, and he was having more and more trouble making the gigs. And I think we were all maybe just, I don't know. I can't believe that I'm saying this, but it must have been that most of us were ready to be done. Maybe
Yeah. Right. And you
um,
were all of 20, what?
26. I would have been
26.
26.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And Lee was a couple years older. Bill was Bill was done by then as the drummer, but John Richardson was a drummer. But yeah, we were all a little bit older.
And you all had regular jobs or was this your primary
Always
job?
always a real job.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
had to have the real job.
Right. Right. Right.
You know.
So do you go into Darktown Poker Club? Is that what it was called?
Yeah, I don't really have much on that. Lee got me into that one too. It was a bunch of guys from Corey and Sherman, New York, and they wrote their own stuff. And at one point, they needed a guitar player, and Lee said, "Hey, you need somebody to help sing?" So, but that was real short lived. So was Colt Station. We weren't there very long, but it was Tom Smith, great songwriter. Unfortunately, he's passed also.
Hmm.
But that was Lee and Tom Smith and Larry Lidecker and our drummer John Richardson. We joined up. Tom had a lot of people go through his band over the years. But one of the things that happened because of that band was we played somebody's birthday at Smugglers,
Hmm.
and that was the first time that I laid eyes on my wife.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was only 78, so it was still 5 years before we reconnected. But
Right. And
that's a
you
little.
told me earlier she was a waitress there or
Yeah, she was bartender and waitress.
yeah.
Bartender and waitress, yeah.
All
And
right.
and we're almost there.
Okay. All right.
There's
So
oh, go ahead.
what no, I was going to ask you what comes before then. And first I wanted to ask, so I know you do a lot of writing on your own now. I mean,
Yes.
had you started that at this point, just dabbling or
Well, I was writing real sappy romantic stuff when I was just out of high school, but
sure.
actually writing, something I would say I was proud of. I probably really didn't start reaching back and pulling that stuff out, probably till the 80s almost. I
Okay,
would say
gotcha.
the early 80s. I was in a short-lived band called Hooter, and that was like 1980. And then again, that was with Richie. So much of it, you get with somebody and as musicians and you're buddies and you're almost family, you just move on to the next band.
Sure. Right.
That that was short lived and that was okay. But then I'd be hanging out. Like I said, I was sitting in with Frederick Martin Band and Marty O'Connor and Jabberwocky, Joe Scatella and those guys.
Sure.
And we wound up, it was Joe's idea and he named the band, but it was Kid Id and the Egos.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to ask you about that name. Like, where'd that come from?
It came from Joe. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. He was a pretty heady guy. And, but that was my experience to get to play with Dave Blates.
Yeah.
And Matt Ferguson and a guy named Frank Boutray.
Right.
Now,
Right.
I don't know if,
Yeah. He and Dave eventually played in Field Theory.
Yes.
Right.
And that band was, we did everything from Bruce Coburn to our own versions of Spirit songs. I Got a Line on You. We did a crazy version of that. And we played a bit. We got into Smugglers and we played at, it was called something else, but it was Macaw's on like 4th and was something in, I can't remember the name, Docksider. And
the Mermaid Inn back then, or no? Mermaid Inn would have been closed.
Yeah, it was over Peach.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and the Evergreen Hotel.
Out in Edinburgh. Nice. Yeah.
That's probably enough to say about that place.
Yeah. So
we loved it, but man, oh man, sometimes you'd be sitting on the porch on a break and you'd be afraid that somebody's going to drive up with a shotgun and shoot somebody for being there with his wife or something. So
that's what I've heard. Yeah. Yeah.
But it was great roadhouse.
Well, when I think of Dave and Frank, I always think of Field Theory and more jazz and fusion types of stuff. But you weren't playing that type of music in Kid Id and the Egos, right?
No, we were doing a lot of Joe's originals, and and then just kind of oddball stuff. I brought in a sort of reggae version of the Animals song "Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood." And we kind of turned that into something that I don't know if the Animals would have liked it or not, but people seem to like it. And some old Motown and rhythm and blues stuff, and we just kind of took them. And when it came to the solo, Frank would just take off. And he wasn't a overplayer. What he played was, well, if you heard him in Field Theory, he knew what he was doing. But it was just like sometimes people's jaw would just drop because it was just, and then Dave and Matt, you can't get more in the pocket players than those two.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what year are we talking about? Early 80s?
Early 80s. Yep. Early 80s.
That's what I thought.
Because by 83, which is kind of when Joan and I got together, by 83, I was still probably doing a little bit of Kid Id, but I started to do a little solo. That's when I first started solo.
That's what I was going to ask you. So at this point, you've been playing guitar for what, 10 years?
I would say probably 72, 82. Yeah, good 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've never played by yourself yet, or
no.
So
no.
How'd that go?
Well, I sent you a picture or two from my first gig.
Yeah, I saw that.
At Smugglers. And the one with the, it's kind of chopped off and I have like a blue t-shirt on with suspenders. That was one of 3 t-shirts I sweat through that first night.
That's great.
I wasn't nervous or nothing,
Right, no.
It's totally different when it's just you.
Yeah, right.
There's no band to hide behind, or
that's why I'm a bass player. You have to never do it. Yeah.
But I'm a ham. I was always the ham of the band anyway, lead singer and all that, and so I got over that, I guess, pretty good. But solo wise, I played Smugglers, Docksider. This is out into the more recent years, but when we moved to Warren and now down here in Pittsburgh, playing some solo, but I guess we'll get to that. We'll try to. I'll try to stay chronological.
That's all right. That's all right. We're doing good, I think. So, is this the beginning of you not playing in bands, and then you and Joan hook up, or?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
yes. We met. A friend of hers invited me to her birthday party at Smuggler's, and I wasn't interested in the friend, but I was interested in Joan, so I went
Yeah.
to the party, and that was oh man, she'd have the date. It was we always celebrate this woman's birthday, even though we don't have contact with her or anything. But I even wrote her a song, "Happy Birthday." Oh, I won't say her name. That probably
That's
won't
all
be
right.
cool. Happy birthday, so and so. Thanks for inviting me, but I'm going home with her, kind of thing. And
Right.
that's where we really got to know each other a little bit. And our first date, I took my guitar over to her apartment. Sang some songs. She read a little poetry. We drank some wine.
Huh.
And
Did she know who you were from playing in other bands, or she just knew that
uh,
you were a musician?
she probably recognized me maybe from that Cold Station gig
Okay.
at Smugglers,
Right.
which was, that was in '78 probably. And then I met her. I was in that band Hooter, and we were playing at the Winter Inn.
Oh
And
yeah.
she was there with another guy, and he made a big deal of introducing her to, oh, this is my friend Paul. He's in the rock and roll band, but that's when I said, oh, Joan, hi, I'm Paul. But that wasn't going anywhere at that point. She was with him, and I was, who
Right.
knows who I was with. But
But she was not singing or a musician at all at this point.
well, a little bit of her background. She was in high school was classically trained.
Mm.
Um, a lot of she was ready to go to Carnegie on a singing scholarship
Oh
when
wow.
things happened that didn't let that be. But she sang madrigals in school, and so her style was very different than mine.
Right.
But then she also in college was sang in a group called the 12 Guitars, which was 72 strings. Man, I just can't imagine.
Wow.
But take forever just for everybody to tune up.
Yeah.
But
Right.
so she had the singing, but hers was more as a poet, and she's a published poet, and
Oh.
so that was her thing. So she got me my first solo gig at Smugglers, and that's the one I sweated through 3 shirts. And I had her come up, and she sang a few songs with me that we'd gone over a little bit. We said, this is pretty good. This is working. So we started learning songs, and we got a gig, and we didn't have a name.
Okay.
So that's when and that's when the Fire and Ice just kind of came.
Yeah.
It sounded good, and the contrast of because the styles of singing were very different, and the styles of music we would put out there are very different.
And
And
what was that style? What were you playing?
well, a lot of all the female singers, Linda Ronstadt. I think we might have had a couple Bonnie Raitt in there early on.
Hmm.
Um, uh, oh man, I'm drawing a blank.
Maybe Heart or
Well, I wasn't up to playing the guitar
oh
part
yeah.
for Heart,
Right.
but she'd be really mad at me if she was in here now, or she would just throw up, just throw up the names of the groups.
But she wasn't playing guitar yet.
No, no, no,
Okay.
no. She could, but she wasn't.
Okay.
I was
Gotcha.
still carrying the
Right.
guitar, and our
But
first gig was at Forest Hills Tennis Club, and
oh
nobody's
yeah.
going to remember that place.
On
But
Kahi. Yeah.
oh
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Right by McDowell. Yeah.
wow,
Sure.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
our first gig. That's why we
Yeah.
needed a name.
With the racquetball courts in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so we shared leads and harmonies, but we played. Actually, I have on my note 1983 to the present because we're still doing it.
That's right. Yeah.
But in Erie, there we did Smugglers, Docksider. We played a lot at Puffer Belly. She worked there for a while,
Oh.
and we played Puffer Belly weekends a lot. Played the Holiday Inn, one Holiday Inn which turned bad because, well, I won't go into that, but that
Oh,
was a
there's nothing
Holiday.
you can share about a bad Holiday Inn gig? Sure.
Well,
Tell us
well,
something.
well, because I don't name names,
Yep.
we were contracted to play. And we played one weekend, and we were psyched because, man, it was like Friday and Saturday,
Yeah.
for like a couple weekends in a row, like a month or something. And we went back the next weekend, and they said they were replacing us with a different duo because they wanted a duo that more people would dance to. And it was, I mean, a very good deal. I don't remember their name, but they played keyboard and had, synced music and all kinds of stuff.
Gotcha.
But, we said, well, what about our contract? And the contractor just kind of let it go. So
Yeah. Right. Right.
we weren't happy about that, but you move on.
Sure. Sure.
But we also played the festivals that we love every days and that, and we played a little bit in Erie, but more when we moved down to Warren, PA, mental health facilities and hospitals. That was big for us. We really wanted to do that kind of
And
outreach.
when was that move?
We moved to Warren in '96.
Oh, okay. So you
Yeah.
played in Erie from 83 to 96.
Yeah, off and on. We
Off and
took
on.
breaks and yeah. But we were yeah, we kept busy and
But
yeah.
you never joined another band or anything like that.
Well, we did. It's
Okay.
outside. It's outside the podcast range, but now we're into like current
Okay.
in about 2000, I think, or so. We joined a band. It was called Daystar, and it was inspirational music. We never called it Christian music because that's kind of a genre that we didn't fit into. But
Oh,
it
okay.
was 7 people in the band, all original music, and very uplifting and inspirational stuff, but not like produced like what you would hear on a Christian radio station. I'm not putting
Sure.
that kind of music down. It's just that wasn't what we were, so we didn't want to misrepresent ourselves.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
almost all originals, 7 people. Everybody was writing songs, and
Oh, wow.
there were people in there. Let's see, might not know any of them. John, John Carroll, John
Okay.
Carroll, who was in a lot of Erie bands back then. Real good keyboard player. But we played churches and festivals. We played in the prisons.
Oh, wow.
Joan especially, and I as well. We were very, very intent on. It was an opportunity for us to take message music into prisons, and
Right.
one or two of the members weren't too sure about that, but we said, "Well, we're going, so come
Sure.
on, let's do it." And once they went in, they went, "Oh wow, this is cool." So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and again, the mental health hospitals and drop-in centers, and we recorded a CD at Honey Bear.
Ah, at Waltz. Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
All right. He's on a
and
previous episode. Yeah.
yes, yeah. We recorded our CD. There's still some of them flying around. I have a stack of them.
All originals.
Yeah, yes, it was all
Yep.
originals.
And
And
just called Fire and Ice or
no, this was Daystar.
oh, this was Daystar. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Gotcha.
yeah.
All
This
right.
this was Daystar. We played in this band for a couple of years, 2-3 years, I think.
Oh, okay. All right.
Maybe a little bit longer, but
So
and that
you
was
came back to record here.
yes, yes. We were living in Warren at the time, and we
Yeah.
went up there to we all met in Erie, and somebody had a connection. I forget who it was that somebody knew. Maybe Donnie. Maybe Donnie. I can't think of Donnie's last name. Shame on me. Caplia.
Yeah.
Donnie Caplia. He might have known Walt.
I'm impressed that you remember all these names as it is. You've played with a lot of folks over the years.
Well, most of them are written down right in front of me.
Good. I have my own cheat sheet here too.
Yeah,
So good, yeah.
I don't live without them. I don't live, but
Do you still either stay in touch with some of these guys from way back in the day on Facebook, or do you see them periodically? Or
well, let's see. The
I mean, some
hardest
of them have
ones.
passed. We know that,
Lee and Bill have passed.
right?
I do still keep in touch with Richie. Matter of fact, I think I had mentioned to you we were going to try and do this,
Oh, right.
three-way or something, and
Right.
you said it was, let's keep it simple, and But
And he's still in Erie playing bass?
he's still in Erie. He doesn't play much. He said
No.
something about it recently. I asked him. He said once in a while he'll fill in. But
Yeah.
like I say, he played with Jake's Blues and
Roger Montgomery and
Roger Montgomery and
right.
a lot. Really just a slap bass. I mean, I know you know what I'm talking about. He could slap
Right.
bass with the. I think that's what you call it.
Sure.
When you,
Right. Yeah.
yeah. Oh man, he's just and a great guy. And actually, he lives in the neighborhood that I grew up in. So
Oh, okay.
it's
Over in the manor there.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Actually, him and two of my other friends from my band days in Lincoln, they all now have houses in the manor.
That's crazy. Wow.
That's weird, but I guess we don't need to go there.
That's Erie. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm pretty much, we're down to current. Joan and I are both
Yeah.
members of, it's a group. It's called the Pittsburgh Songwriters Circle,
Hmm.
and obviously by the name, it's we meet once a month and we get an assignment, like write a song with the word "new" in it, and
Huh.
then next month you come back with the song, and it's very supportive. It's not like, oh, that sucks. It's really hey, can you say
Right.
that? Can you say that word on Facebook? I don't know. I'd have to spell it out with a little ampersand or something.
Right.
But very supportive, and they every year they put out a CD. Usually it's a double CD because so many of the songwriters get involved, and with all original songs from all these musicians from the Pittsburgh area, and some of them a little bit farther out. And I've had a song of mine on one of the CDs, and Jones had two of her songs on two of the CDs the last couple of years. So that's pretty cool.
That is cool. Is that where I see you play at a bar down there off and on, right? I saw some of the pictures. I don't know if it's a bar or not. There were a bunch of pictures of you playing someplace.
That's probably from the open mic at the Starlight Lounge.
That's it. The Starlight Lounge. Right,
Yeah,
right, right. Is
yeah.
that what that
I
is?
actually,
An open mic?
yeah, I did a gig there about a month and a half ago. Actually, I know you're going to know the name, Ronnie Moondog Esser.
Sure. Right. Yeah. He books all the stuff up here for our amphitheater. Right.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
he owns Starlight and he owns Moondogs down here,
Ah. Okay.
and he was involved with the Decade, and he's been
Right.
involved down here forever. And I know he knows Phil Popotnick, they're buddies, and
Right.
so I did get to play I don't play as much. I don't get into the bars as much down here because I haven't really cracked it.
Yeah.
Where they say, well, who are you going to bring in? I say, well, most of the people I know down here are musicians, and they're either playing or too broke to come
Right.
out. You know, but I've squeezed a few out. Mostly, my most consistent music is the senior facilities.
Sure. Right.
Pre-COVID, I was playing at probably 40 different places. I mean, I was busy all the time with them.
Yeah.
And I just love doing that. I get as much out of that as they do, I think.
And you guys are retired now?
Yes.
Okay. So you're
Yep.
just playing music for the love of it.
Yep. Just for the love of it.
That's
And,
awesome.
And we still, we perform not quite as often. We do some festivals and stuff, but we still perform as Fire and Ice. Although, and this is a shout out, and I'm going to make sure that my friend gets the link to this. We were told as we aged, as we all do, we were told by our dear friend Peter Barnhart that we were going to have to change the name from Fire and Ice to Embers and Slush.
Oh, Peter, that's rough, man.
Yeah. So Peter, when you get to hear this, yeah, he actually he took that picture. I think the only promo picture I sent you of Joan and I,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
all the hair. Yeah.
Yep.
Peter was our photographer for that. That was in our back room at our house in Erie.
Okay. All right.
But,
Well, that sounds like a good place to stop, I think, right? We've kind of covered. What are we missing?
no, I think that's good. I know I sent you the link for my CD if anybody's interested in
Yep.
that.
Yeah, I'm going to include the link to your all those links you sent me is Spotify, the performance, everything that you sent me. And as usual, the episode will be up on the website. And there you'll be able to see all of Paul's pictures
Oh,
and so
all
I
of them.
can,
Uh-oh.
yeah, all the ones that he sent me. And but yeah, in the episode notes, I include those links and everything. So
Cool.
yeah. Well, this was great. I appreciate it. I think
Well,
a lot of
no,
people.
thank you, man. Thank you. This is all you. Thank you, man. This was an opportunity that I would have to say probably if somebody asked me, yeah, I'd probably think, I'm probably never going to get to do anything like that. So thank you, man. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate the trip down memory lane, and thanks to you, and thanks to Joan, and thanks to everybody out there that's been listening to the podcast. I greatly appreciate it, and make sure that you check out all those links. And until the next time, I'm Chip Shell, and this is the Erie Music History Podcast. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for this final episode of season 1 of the podcast. I'll be back probably in late January with season 2. Thanks for all your support. Thanks to my sponsor, the JPT Foundation, which has a large bingo hall on West 38th Street, where also in late January, I'm going to start having a night of live music on Tuesday nights, featuring a house band, the Fabulous Leftovers, which is composed of a lot of musicians who have played during the eras this podcast covers. And then we'll open it up to other veteran musicians who can play a few songs. So watch the Facebook page for more information on that. And of course, listen to Jack Stevenson's 2-Man Happy Hour podcast for info on who's playing where and when these days. Thanks to my Patreon supporters, Mike and Marie Miller and Janice and Mark Nelson. And go to patreon.com to help support the podcast. So until next time, I'm Chip Shell. Thanks for listening.